Do I still say the only half?
Yeah, it's part of mincha. Yeah. Okay, tomorrow night is Shavuot, so let's learn a little bit the dinim of Shavuot. Especially this year, there's a certain few things that we need to know. First of all, tomorrow, during the day, you have to make what's called Erev Tafshilin. Because Yom Tov goes from Friday to Shabbos. So in order to cook on Friday, not only to cook, to light Shabbos, to light candles, to do everything, you need actually to do things on Friday for Shabbos. But in order to do things on Friday for Shabbos, you need to do what's called Erev Tafshilin. Erev Tafshilin means tomorrow, Erev Yom Tov, you take a challah or a matzah the size of 2 ounces. You take a piece of meat, fish, eggs, a prominent food, the size of 1 ounce, a kazayis, and you take them, you pick them up, you make a bracha, it's in the siddur. If you look in the Halacha newsletter, it will be there also, exactly what to do. You pick it up, and you make the bracha, and then, you say then the expression, Vaad, with this, we allow ourselves to cook and to prepare and to light the candles from Friday to Shabbos. Now, what? Yeah, you have to say that phrase. If you don't have to say it in Aramaic. You could say it in English, any language. Now, one second. The Erev Tafshilin stuff has to be around until you finish all the preparations for Shabbos. Because, forget the matzah, if the food is missing, somebody ate it up, then you can't cook for Shabbos. Okay? And you can't do anything. So therefore you have to make sure that the food and the matzah or the brechala is around until after all the preparations for Shabbos are done. So the custom is, what do? You use it as the second challah Friday night. The food you can eat Friday night by the Shabbos meal, Yom Tov Shabbos meal. And the challah uses the second challah Friday night, and then you use it as the challah you eat Shabbos during the day. Now, in order to do that, there's another important condition, and that is the food that you're cooking on Shabbos, on Friday for Shabbos, or that you're baking on Friday for Shabbos, must be edible during the day. You can't put up a cholent right before Shabbos. You can't cook food late in the afternoon. The whole heter is because biblically you'd be allowed to do it, because maybe guests will come and you'll have to feed them, and therefore you'll have what to feed them. But if the food is not ready to eat on Friday, it's a big problem halachically. What?
So the cholent will cook from Thursday.
If you want to cook cholent for Shabbos, Taka, you have to put it up in the morning.
Morning of Friday?
Friday morning.
Oh, I thought it was going to be...
It depends. It's a long day. Let's say you put it up 12 o'clock and you have until Shabbos, it's 8 o'clock, so you have 8 hours. Basically, it's going to be edible then. But the food that you're preparing on Friday for Shabbos must be edible on Friday. What?
You have to do it tomorrow or do it tonight?
No, better halachically tomorrow, during the day.
Is it any different than usual Fridays? That you need to do the food has to cook before Shabbos?
No, it's because it's Yom Tov. Friday is Yom Tov. Yom Tov, you're only allowed to cook for that day of Yom Tov. You're not allowed to cook one day Yom Tov for the next day. You're not allowed to even cook Friday for Shabbos. Unless, if you make an Erev Tafshilin, then because it's only Vaad Rabbonim, because the food's edible, the Chachamim said, therefore, if you started preparing already before Yom Tov began, then it's okay. But here, because it's Friday and Shabbos, it's not Thursday, Friday and Shabbos, if you don't forget to make an Erev Tafshilin tomorrow, you got a problem.
How about if you make a cholent and then you put it on the blech and just add water on Friday afternoon?
On Friday afternoon, again, if the cholent is edible, then you can add water, whatever, before Shabbos begins.
If the challah was not eaten, but the meat was, or vice versa,
No, if the meat was eaten, let's say use meat, the Erev Tafshilin is bottled. If the matzah or the challah is not there, it doesn't matter. I mean, chatchila has to be there, but not...
If you don't even eat it, you forget that you didn't have it, it's okay?
Yeah, as long as it was technically able to be eaten.
when do you eat it for Shabbos noon?
What, the food or the challah? The food you can eat Friday night. The challah, the custom is to continue doing mitzvahs. So use it for the second challah Friday night, and then Shabbos day you eat it.
So Friday you have to cook for Shabbat.
Right. But the food has to be edible on Friday, yet for Shabbos.
Like a few hours before Shabbat.
As long as it's edible before Shabbos begins. What's so hard about it? Oh. If you want to be mezakeh for others, you give it to somebody else. If you're doing it for yourself, you can just pick it up and make the brach. You don't have to go crazy with other people. No. Okay. Now, out of Shavuot, it's customary to go to mikveh if your nails are, cut your nails and your hair, and so on and so forth.
What about because it's Wednesday night, Thursday?
No.
Usually you don't, right? Haircuts because it's 3 days.
Yeah, but tonight you can, after tomorrow, you can take a haircut tonight. Tonight is tomorrow, same thing.
I know, so I'm saying it's not an issue. It's not that.
No. Tonight is tomorrow. What?
Didn't Rabbi Shab say, Erev?
Yeah, tonight. No, he didn't say Erev after Chatzos. No. He said Erev. He wasn't happy with people that took haircuts before Erev Shavuos. Tonight is Erev Shavuos.
So tonight being that it's Thursday and it's Erev, can you cut your nails?
You can cut your nails tonight.
Even though it's Thursday?
Yes, for Yom Tov it's not a problem. Okay, next. Now, tomorrow night, it says in Shechanoch you're supposed to give extra tzedakah on Erev Shavuos for the 2 days that you're not going to be giving tzedakah. Now, Yom Tov candles, so tomorrow night, the custom is you light the regular time 18 minutes before Shkia, and you make a Shechiyanu. See, tomorrow night the bracha is Ladik Ner Shel Yom Tov and Shechiyanu. Tomorrow night, Ma'ariv, you're not allowed to daven early. Why? Even though normally Friday night you could bring in Yom Tov early, and Yom Tov you're allowed to bring in early, but this year, the first night of Shavuos, you're not allowed to daven Ma'ariv early. Why? Because Halacha says, but you count the Omer, it has to be Sheva Shabbosis Tmimes Tiyan. It has to be complete days. If you bring in Yom Tov early, you're taking away from the completeness of the 49th day. So therefore, if you take away from the completeness of the 49th day, it's no good. So tomorrow night, Ma'ariv, you have to daven after nightfall. Now another interesting though, but the second day Yom Tov, because it's going into Shabbos, so then you can bring in Shabbos early. Now there's a big question, what happens if it's not Shabbos? Yom Tov is Monday and Tuesday. The second night of Yom Tov, Shavuos even, can you bring Yom Tov in early? So there's a big argument in Halacha, if you could or not. The minig is that you daven Ma'ariv in a way that you finish it at the Zman. It says Sekachavim because it's Yef Krishma, and secondly, people shouldn't go home and do work.
But if it's the third day Shabbat, and it's 2 days of Yom Tov first and then Shabbat, then you cannot bring Shabbat earlier, because you're taking away from Yom Tov.
Yeah, but what's holier, Shabbos or Yom Tov?
The 2 days...
What is holier, Shabbos or Yom Tov?
Shabbos.
So you're not taking away, you're adding. That's why this year, the second day Yom Tov is Friday. Yom Tov is Friday and Shabbos.
It's still Yom Tov, but it's the third day Shabbat.
It's still Yom Tov going into Shabbos. For sure you could bring Shabbos in early. What?
I don't see what's wrong with preparing a little earlier and eating a meal.
Because you're now to prepare from one day to the next. On the first day Yom Tov, this year you could because you made an Erev Tavshilin. Okay, that allows you to prepare even the tables for Shabbos, right? But normally, on a regular Yom Tov, you're not allowed to prepare on the first day Yom Tov for the second day Yom Tov at all. You can't set tables, you can't, nothing. No, we don't. You don't prepare from one day to the next.
No, see, before Pesach, and people sit down to the meal, and once it's night.
Yeah, but that's the first night Pesach. I heard you're talking about the second night Yom Tov. What?
Someone makes an Erev Tav showing, do they have to make food, or you can do it just like, even if they're not going to cook? And they make
So there's an issue because, in fact, somebody called me today. They're not going to be home at all for Shavuos, meals, but they're staying in an apartment. They're going to have to ben shlicht. One of the things you need to do for an Erev Tavshilin for is to be able to ben shlicht on Friday for Shabbos. So even that, it says in the expression, "B'dei Yishana la shulei la fuyei or la hadlik shraga," to light the candles. So that has to be done for an Erev Tavshilin, just for that. Okay, now that's Ma'ariv. Then you have a meal. Then the night of Shavuot, it's a minhag to stay up a whole night. In fact, the Rebbe Rashab brings down, it's brought all over the place, but here brings it down also, that the Rebbe Rashab says he has a ksav yad, a handwritten document from the Mittel Rebbe, that whoever stays up the whole night of Shavuot, learning, by the way, not sleeping. Yeah. You merit a Keser Torah, you merit the crown of Torah. So it's a very important custom that you're up a whole night, and then even if you're up a whole night, the question is, what do you do with brachas in the morning? Because you didn't sleep, some brachas l'chayra, but our custom is we say everything. Even if you're up a whole night, we say all the brachas and everything until Sedai Mashiach, all the brachas and everything. Now, what?
Can you go to the bathroom first?
You could.
In order to say Till Sedai, can you go to the bathroom first?
No, not according to our custom.
So that's a Chabad custom only?
The what?
Hang up all night?
No, staying up all night, everybody does.
I don't know.
No, I'm saying, it's universal.
From a secular.
Saying all the brachas in the morning, that's a Chabad custom. We say that also. Everything we say. After Alei Shach. What?
What's the topic?
We'll figure it out.
Why Reform Jews are Reformed?
Doubt it. Anyway, it's also a custom that before Alei Shachar, before dawn, you go to the mikveh and to receive the Torah in purity, and then, that's it. Now, the first day Yom Tiv, you have davening. First day Yom Tiv, we have davening, and to say for Torahs, Halal. Chabad custom is we don't say Agdamas. In most shows they do say Agdamas. Chabad. No, not a lot of Chassidish places don't say Agdamas. Svardim don't say Agdamas.
What is Agdamas?
You don't even know what it is.
I don't know.
Agdamas is a beautiful poem that basically somebody, Agdamut.
Yeah, it's in the bottom of the city.
Yeah, I know, but we still don't say it. Anyway, it's basically a beautiful poem that if all the blades of grass would be pens, and all the water of the oceans would be ink, and all the skies would be parchment, we would never be able to write the greatness of Torah and the greatness of Hashem. It's a beautiful Aramaic, it happens to be a beautiful Aramaic poem. What? Full hallow. Shavuos is full hallow.
For both days?
Both days. Okay, so now you have the davening, and then Shechianu, Kiddush, and candle lighting both days. Now again, if a man who lives alone and he's lighting candles and he's making Kiddush, so he only makes one Shechianu. If a woman lives alone and is lighting candles and eating, so she also makes one Shechianu. The question is, when do you make it? So the custom is women make it when they light candles, because that's the women's thing, and men make it a Kiddush.
What about a single guy at home?
I'm saying.
You say it on the candles also, or is that
No, I told you, if he's doing both, he makes him a Kiddush.
like Kiddush?
Yeah.
She does like this, but she does like this.
Right. What?
By Spartan, the woman doesn't make shechina without candles.
What?
By Spartan,
They don't?
the woman doesn't make shechina because she deals with the
Okay, we're talking about customs. Fine, if they're Yitzhak from the husband, good. Huh? They do make shechianu.
No, because
The answer to your contradiction is some Sfardim do and some Sfardim don't.
some of them are.
That's the answer to the massive contradiction here.
They want to go the Chabad.
Okay, now it's late, let's go. Now, there's also a custom on the first day of Shavuos to eat dairy, for a lot of reasons. It's too late to go into it. Let's get into the practical halacha of it. So there's a custom to eat dairy. But on Yom Tov, there's also an obligation to eat meat. So therefore, it says in Shulchan Aruch, what do? So you have a dairy meal, okay? And you have to, when you're done with the dairy meal, you have to rinse your mouth and eat something. And you must say an after bracha or bench. And then you wait an hour, okay, and then you have the meat meal. You can wait more than an hour. But what you do is, in fact, the general custom in most places is, after davening they make kiddush, they have cheesecake and whatever dairy. only the first day.
Second day also.
You have to bench even if you eat the next meal within an hour?
Within an hour.
No, I mean, after an hour.
No, it's not allowed to be in the same meal. In other words, from milchiks to fleishiks, or fleishiks to milchiks, when you have to wait 6 hours, you can't eat a fleishik meal and finish, let's say, 12 o'clock, and still sit there by the meal eating pariv until 6 o'clock, and then start eating milchiks. You have to bench, or bracha achrena, you have to eat something, and you have to rinse your mouth. That goes from milchiks to fleishiks and fleishiks to milchiks. So if you're having, the custom is most places, they have, make kiddush, you have cheesecake or some milchiks, you make it after bracha, you rinse your mouth, you eat something, and an hour later you have the meat meal. What?
Is the custom only during the morning to have the meal?
Milchiks?
Or is it also effective?
No, in according to Shulchan Aruch, I know people do it. They have dairy meals the whole time, but if you look at Shulchan Aruch, it says you're supposed to have fleishik meal on Yom Tov.
On the night?
Both. Even during the day you need a fleishik meal. Therefore, it says in Shulchan Aruch, you should make sure to do what it says. You eat the milchiks, you make it after bracha and bench or whatever, and then you eat something and rinse your mouth, and then an hour later you can have dairy. I mean meat.
The night meal also, you should do an hour and then have the meat.
Yeah, you could have, but whatever. There's an obligation on Yom Tov to eat meat, which, by the way, according to certain opinions, is biblical. What? What? For what? No, you don't need a meal. Most people don't, in fact. They wash by the fleishik meal. But technically, what happens if somebody wants to have a big dairy meal, okay, and they'll wash and they'll bench, and then an hour or two later, they'll have some cold cuts or deli.
So you don't have to have flesh, though. I mean, if you-
And Yom Tov, you have to have meat.
But if you have meat, then you can't go to the ice cream party. So you have to wait until after the ice cream party for meat.
But hold on, what about if you want to just have a fleishik only at night, and in the morning you want to have cheese? Only.
Chips?
I said the proper thing it says in Shulchan Aruch is to have a dairy meal or dairy whatever.
It's not a rule. I mean, like you don't
And
have.
generally speaking, it's done on the first day Yom Tov only. There's a story with the Rebbe that they came into the Rebbe, when the Rebbe used to eat upstairs. It was the second day Yom Tov. They went into the Rebbe and told him that when he wants to eat. So the Rebbe said he just had milchik, so he has to wait an hour. The second day Yom Tov. But generally speaking, the minhag is first day Yom Tov. What? What? Yeah. What?
Do you need to have bread also, or is it just meat?
You need to have bread sometime, chal or bread, whatever. So you can have it by the dairy meal or by the meat meal, or you can have both. Yeah, anytime you eat though, you need lechem mishnah.
Plus, if you have just a piece of deli after the dairy meal, are you supposed to have bread with that meat as well?
You don't have to, but I'm saying if you do, you have to wash and have lechem mishnah. Shabbos and Yom Tov, any meal that you eat, you need to have lechem mishnah. What?
Even if you met the requirement of choose.
Every meal that you wash on Shabbos is a din in Shulchan Aruch and Hilchos Shabbos. Okay, the Alter Rebbe says, the Shulchan Aruch says, any meal that you eat on Shabbos and Yom Tov, every time you eat 10 meals during the day, you have to have lechem mishnah by each meal. So now the question, if somebody eats lasagna with shlameti, what do you do with lechem mishnah? So I have an answer to that, but not now.